Now we go to Bill O'Reilly, who's also going to weigh in on this issue of terrorism. And he's got a friendly warning to President Obama. Let's listen.
Will al-Qaeda destroy the Obama administration? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Some conservatives are saying the president does not take terrorism seriously enough, but that's not the case any longer. Yesterday, the president was deadly serious about stopping any more terror attacks against Americans. Mr. Obama's a smart guy. He knows that he's got 3 strikes against him now, but he's not out. He is, however, tottering. When a Muslim terrorist killed 1 soldier, wounded another in Arkansas, the press pretty much ignored it. Then came the Fort Hood massacre. The president never called it an act of terrorism. Then the underwear bomber struck on Christmas Day. Initially, the president called him an isolated extremist. Well, that's 3 strikes in 6 months, and now there's trouble in the air. Most Americans will not stand for poor security. The Obama administration has dismantled so many of the Bush-Cheney anti-terror programs that worked against terrorism, that the president now finds himself in a very precarious situation. The perception in many quarters is that the Obama administration cares more about the rights of terrorists than protecting the American people. That may not be fair, but the perception is out there. If al-Qaeda manages another terrorist strike against the USA in the upcoming months, President Obama will be in serious trouble. He knows it, and that's why he looked so grim yesterday. Al-Qaeda also knows it. Those killers understand the chaos they're causing, and of course they want to build on that. Politics is often a very foolish game. Ideologues on both sides try to demean people with opposing points of view, but killing 3,000 people on 9/11 and coming close to blowing up a Northwest airliner on Christmas Day trumps politics. That's life and death. Talking Points has said over and over the president is making a big mistake by trying foreign terrorists in civilian courts, by outlawing coerced interrogation, and by giving the world a perception that America's war on terror is not a noble undertaking. We are not the problem. Al-Qaeda is. And by the way, terror thugs have no rights. None. If they did, why is President Obama shooting drones at them without a trial? Think about it. President's dropping bombs on suspected terrorists. No trial, no interrogation, just death. But then he turns around and gives Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who admits planning the murder of 3,000 people, lawyers and a civilian trial. Does that make any sense to you?
Yes.
The issue of terrorism could well bring down the Obama administration. One more successful attack on this country, and all hell will break loose.
All right. You see, if you're a Fox viewer and you saw that, you're like, oh, wow, he's right, man. We're doing predator strikes. And why are we giving Khalid Sheikh Mohammed any rights when we could have just, one day killed him in a predator strike and he wouldn't have had any rights? Okay. Let's break it down. The difference is we don't have those guys. We can't go on the ground and say, hey, look, we're in Pakistan. Let's take this guy and bring him in. Because if we brought him in, that would be better. We could gather intelligence, and then we could try them. We could bring them to justice. But we can't. We're not allowed in Pakistan on the ground to a large degree, certainly not with troops, et cetera, et cetera. But once you have the guy captured, what is O'Reilly's solution? Well, you never had any rights anyway because we could have killed you in a predator strike, so boom, I'll shoot you in the head. Now, you see, we're a civilized country, and we pride ourselves in the West, Bill O'Reilly, on certain traditions we've set up, that we don't summarily execute our prisoners, that once they are caught, once they are prisoners, we give them certain, you want to call them rights, you want to call them protections. Why? Because we're decent human beings. Why? Because we want to make sure we have the right guy. Now, yeah, you say, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, I'm pretty sure, so I'd like to put a bullet in his head. His, third in command, I'm not quite as sure, but who cares? I would have killed him in a strike anyway. His 17th in command, the guy who was not in command, the guy who was the driver, the guy who was not really the driver but knew the driver, was the cousin of the guy who knew the driver. I don't know, kill them all. See that we don't do that in the West, Bill. If you like that, though, they do that in some parts of the world, including, as you would say, some people in radical Islam. They like to operate that way. They would love your philosophy, Bill. But we are civilized. When we capture someone, we don't summarily execute them. We give them a trial to make sure we have the right guy, and then if we do, we give the full force of law and bring them to justice. Now, on the other points, he thinks, if you give these guys trials, well, obviously, this Nigerian guy is going to get on a plane and try to blow himself up. But as I've said before, the guy was willing to put explosives on his crotch. It's not like he thought, oh, Obama will treat me nice. He thought, I'm going to die, and I'm going to try to kill everybody with me. I'm going to blow my nutsack off. He didn't care about a trial. That was not his priority. It's not like he thought, well, if I get captured, I won't get tortured. He thought he was going to blow himself up, that he was going to die. So it's nonsense to say that that affects the kid that gets on the plane to do this kind of thing. And then, of course, his warning to Obama. Oh, you've got 3 strikes, you're tottering, I'll give you another one. Because, you know, is Bill O'Reilly not merciful? He says, all right, you're tottering, but I'll give you one more. But any more strike, anything at all that I can count. I mean, if, you know, a Muslim, I don't know, spits on the sidewalk, that's it, you're done. You're done, okay? We're going to yell and scream about how you blew security because you wouldn't torture people or you actually gave them trials. That has nothing to do with it. If you care about our security, you should be really pissed that that guy was not on that watch list. He's got to be on the watch list. We had the information on him. That is a very legitimate complaint, and that is what you should be going after. But all the other stuff is, ironically, what O'Reilly said he wasn't doing, the nonsense politics, and going after him for political, ideological reasons that have nothing to do with what the real problem was here. And as far as the real problem is concerned, I don't know how they're going to do it, and I hope to God that Obama and people inside his administration know how to do it. But they've got to get those watch lists right. I mean, they got the information on this guy. He's got to make it onto the watch list in enough time so we can prevent him from getting on the plane. It's maddening that they don't do that right. Okay, God, let's focus the criticism in the right area. Please, for once in your life, think.